This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it, and M. Night Shyamalan will make a movie that won't totally suck. The Bound for Glory series is one of my favorite concepts that TNA do every year. Unfortunately, the execution of it has never been quite perfect. And for all the good things that can come out of it, the downside is that it eats up so much screen time that practically everything else on the show ends up taking a back seat. And in the event that you try to fit those other things in regardless, you have to be really meticulous with how you manage your time, because one little mistake in that area can throw a big freaking monkey wrench into the works and pretty much wreck a whole show. And I'm sorry to say, that's kind of what happened here. The problem started almost immediately with the opening segment. If you have to book 6 BFG series matches on one show, then do yourselves a favor, TNA writers. When the script is written, take a long, hard look at every individual segment and ask yourselves, is this absolutely 100% necessary? If the answer is no, then take it out. Because whatever it is, you don't have time for it. All the guys in the tournament are in the ring, and Hogan makes this big production of introducing Rude and Hardy, the 2 previous winners, and he said nothing here that wasn't covered last week. And it really just felt like a transparent excuse to give Hogan more screen time, as if he really needed that. The problem is, that was time they did not have to spare. And then there was this stupid fan vote thing. They had this poll on the website where people could vote on whether Rude or Hardy should call out someone first. This was so pointless. You already established last week that they were going to call out each other, so either Hardy calls out Rude first or Rude calls out Hardy first, and either way, the outcome is exactly the same. And when every guy in the BFG series is going to wrestle on this show anyway, then why are you even bothering with this? What is the point? To waste our time? Because that's what this felt like.
This whole show is ridiculous!
What happened to the BFG series starting with a 12-man battle royal for 20 points? For the sake of expediency, as well as kicking off the tournament with a bang in a way that feels special, that probably would have been a much better idea. So throughout the night, every participant in the BFG series has a match, and I was really hoping TNA would have realized this year that this is an ineffective way of booking the show, because that's 6 matches, plus all these other things you've got going on, and you end up trying to cram way too much stuff in, things get rushed, they're not highlighted the way they should be, and inevitably, problems start to emerge. Anderson beat Joseph Park when Doc interfered. The match, frankly, was kind of bad. Austin Aries beat Jay Bradley. Match was okay. I don't agree with Bradley losing in his first tournament match, though. I mean, he's the new guy you're trying to get over, so he probably shouldn't be getting jobbed out at all right now. So I really wish he'd faced someone he could have gotten over on. Then we had Daniels versus Hernandez. I don't care about Hernandez. I could give a rat's ass about this match. Daniels got the pin. That's all that matters. Yes! Magnus beat Kazarian. Match was fine while it lasted, and Magnus actually wins by submission. Gets 10 points, so he's out to an early lead. And that's just awesome.
Yes! 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 Yes!
AJ versus Joe is a time limit draw, even though they didn't actually go 15 minutes. You figure that one out. Even so, it's the only match that got any real time. It was good, but far from the best match these two have had. I did actually like the finish, though. Both guys should be protected right now, and this was much preferable to either of them getting jobbed out. And the main event was Hardy versus Rude, a match that was set up in the main event segment of last week's show and the opening segment of this week's show, a match that has main evented pay-per-views for this company, and it only goes 6 minutes and change. So you hyped it up as a big damn deal, and then you went out of your way to show us that it's not by shortchanging it on time. Nice job.
This whole show violates everything about my journalistic integrity.
So that was the first night of the Bound for Glory series. And if it seemed like I just glossed over all that, it's only because TNA glossed over it. I understand wanting to book the shows this way, with everyone in the BFG series having a match. I really do. But the unfortunate reality of it is that you just don't have enough TV time to do it right. With 6 matches, plus a whole bunch of other stuff, there isn't enough time to highlight everything properly, so the matches get cut short, they don't get pre-match promos or anything, so the matches don't deliver in most cases, they kind of seem like throwaways, and thus the BFG series doesn't feel important. And that's not entirely their fault. A lot of it came down to the crowd being so dead they had me missing the Impact Zone, but TNA Creative are not blameless here. They really needed to do something to start this tournament off with a bang, and for a number of different reasons, it just didn't happen. They needed to either save some of these matches for next week, or some of the other things they booked for this show. Now, this State of the Knockouts address was a good example of something that could have been saved for next week. In fact, considering how this came off, it probably would have been a good idea to scrap the segment altogether and just handle it backstage. Brooke Hogan cuts a promo to cover a lot of bases with the Knockouts, and they all need to be in the ring for this, but for some reason, they're not all there. Apparently, the entire active Knockout division consists of Gail, Mickey, Taryn, Velvet, a referee, and Eric Young. I'm not sure how I should feel about that. You couldn't put Tessmacher and Tara out there? You couldn't put Taylor Hendricks out there just for appearances, just to have another body in the ring? To have so few women out there when Brooke is seemingly addressing the entire division made this segment kind of unintentionally funny, if I'm being honest.
This is ridiculous, man, any way you look at it.
Good news, bad news here. I liked the outcome of the segment, but the process of getting there left a lot to be desired. First off, it was confirmed that the women's tag team titles do still exist, but Eric Young and ODB have finally vacated them because after a year and a half, it has been discovered that Eric is a man.
You have a vagina!
Apparently not, CM Punk. Apparently not. It turns out Eric Young was a dude this whole time. Well, I'm as shocked as you are.
You no longer confuse me with your she-male looks.
And not only that, but Eric then admits that because of this, he and ODB were never the women's tag team champions in the first place. Oh, really? Well, thanks for wasting all our fucking time then. What was the point of this title reign?
I will not participate in this charade this evening.
You know what, TNA? Do whatever you want with those belts. Save them for the Blossom Twins, throw them in the trash. I really don't care anymore. Just get them off my screen. You don't have enough knockouts for a tag team division. You don't even have enough for a singles division. This needed to happen. Let's just move on from it. Then Mickey vs. Velvet for the title is booked for next week. Fine, good. The sooner we get that out of the way, the sooner we can get Mickey into an interesting feud. Next, Gail and Taryn will battle for the #1 contendership in a few weeks in a ladder match. And after their terrific last Knockout Standing match at Slammiversary, I'm very much looking forward to that. I think that's a great idea. So, 3 things that really needed to happen happened. That was the good part. The bad part was how it happened. I've been very forgiving of Brooke Hogan in this role of the VP of the Knockouts, or whatever we're calling it. I think she's been very inoffensive. At times I've even defended her. But that's mainly because she wasn't really doing that much, and generally stayed in a supporting role, letting the Knockouts have the spotlight like anyone in this role should. And when we only got her in small doses, I never really had a problem with her. But as much as I suspect certain people in the company might want her to be, she's not Stephanie McMahon. She's not someone you can rely on to carry a lengthy talking segment, and I'm not exactly sure what made them think she was. I feel bad for saying this because Brooke really did look like she was trying, but this wasn't good. This whole segment felt awkward and uncomfortable. She was really struggling to get through it. It wasn't Garrett Bischoff bad, but it was rough. Clearly another case of TNA putting someone in a spot that they just weren't ready for. And Brooke usually does alright if her segments are kept short, but she was in over her head this time and really should not have been put in this position.
Your posterior better contact someone at once.
So Anderson and Doc are now arguing over who gets to be the new VP of the Pussies in Leather. We were led to believe that Anderson had the job, but I guess not. Anyway, Bully says that they're going to put it to a vote, but not just yet. Why can't they just vote on it now? It would take 5 seconds. Probably because they want to continue dragging this shit out as long as humanly possible. Well, forgive me if I don't jump for joy. Honest question here. Who the fuck cares who the VP is? Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. Because they never clearly defined what exactly the VP position means. You know, same thing with all these different roles in the group. President, VP, Sergeant-at-Arms. It's all bullshit. Bully Ray is the guy in charge. That's all that matters. I guess the VP is supposed to be like the second in command after Bully, and that used to be D-Lo, but he was playing second fiddle to Anderson and Devon almost from the minute he was revealed to be in the group and ended up being the first member they turned on. So why are Anderson and Doc suddenly arguing over who gets to be the new VP when you've already established that being the VP means absolutely nothing? It's stupid!
And if you're not down with that, we have 2 words for you. You're welcome!
As it turns out, option C is not a sure thing for Chris Sabin after all. That's news to me. They definitely made it sound like he was the guy that was going to get a chance to cash that thing in for the last few weeks. But apparently it's not a done deal, and there's going to be another title match next week. I don't have a problem with that, but this seems awfully sudden, like a last-minute change of direction almost, which is very strange, seeing as how the writers seem to take so much pride in planning this stuff out months in advance. I'll wait and see what happens, but it feels like there was a bit of an awkward transition here, like someone hit the reset button or something. Earlier in the night, Sting meets with someone hidden in the shadows backstage that agrees to be part of his new main event Mafia. And if you had one guess to pick the most obvious person on the entire roster that this could be, you'd probably get it right. In the main event segment, Sting confronts Bully Ray, things come to blows, Bully gets jumped by the Mystery Man, and it's Kurt Angle. Was that really so mysterious that it warranted a big surprising reveal? Most people probably saw this coming a mile away. In fact, I think the only people who were stunned by this were the announcers. So this quote-unquote new main event Mafia is not so new just yet. I understand Angle being in there. Him and Sting were the leaders of the original group. Angle's not in the BFG series, so he needs something to do. I get it. But wasn't Angle one of the people who did not help Sting at Slammiversary, which Sting is supposed to be angry about? I thought the idea was that Sting was going to be recruiting people who were not there that night because he couldn't trust the people that were. I thought that was the whole point. So now we've got Sting and Angle opposing the Pussies in Leather. How is that any different than what we had before? And I read the spoilers for next week. The next member of the group is pretty much going to be the same deal. I'm glad they're not dragging their feet on revealing the members, but I hope at least some of these people will be surprises or actual new members of this new main event Mafia. So far, that has not been the case. This was a very flawed edition of iMPACT. With them airing against Game 7, they really needed to knock it out of the park this week, and instead they just fell into the same trap they usually fall into this time of year. As much fun as the BFG series can be, it does wreak havoc with time management on the show. At least one segment here needed to be cut to free up time for everything else, and it should have been the opener, because that segment accomplished nothing we didn't know already and really just came off like useless filler. I hope that one of these days TNA will figure out how to budget their time more effectively during the BFG series. Until then, all we can do is wait.